And now that President Trump is back, there's talk of overturning one of the most damaging gun control laws ever passed, the 1968 Gun Control Act. Tell us your thoughts on that.
Well, first of all, I'm 76.6 years clean and sober, so my radar picks up accurate information and evidence to draw self-evident truth, logic, and common sense conclusions. And God gave me the gift of life, and he gave me the moral, intellectual, and spiritual responsibility to protect that life. That's why the founding fathers came out of slavery. The whole world was based on kings and emperors and tyrants, enslaving people, not allowing them to stand up for what they believe in, especially having weapons of self-defense. So our founding fathers wrote down the First Amendment so we could express ourselves, etc., and the Second Amendment. Here's the bottom line. Gun Control Act is not about guns. It's about control. Yeah. Tyrants want you to be unarmed and helpless so they can do as they damn well please, like the dead airport manager in Little Rock, Arkansas, that the alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, over a suspicion of paperwork, kicked down his door and murdered him. And Vicki Weaver and her son Sam, based on a shotgun that might have been an eighth of an inch too short, the ATF and the FBI, the punk Lon Horiachi, murdered Vicki and Sam Weaver. And I got to tell you, Shemaine, there's hundreds of examples like this. Number one, we should get rid of the ATF. Lyndon Baines Johnson signed the Gun Control Act of 1968. Who could possibly trust that corrupt, criminal, power-abusing, anti-American, anti-freedom punk known as Lyndon Baines Johnson? So get a hold of your elected employees, your senator, your congressman, your governor, everybody, and let them know that the Gun Control Act of 68 is an infringement, and it shall not be. Same with Reagan. Ronald Reagan signed the National Firearms Act in 1986. That's an infringement. It's against the law to infringe on my constitutionally guaranteed God-given individual rights. Does anybody not get that?
So let's talk specifically about the 1968 Gun Control Act.
Counterproductive.
What's in it, and what should people be looking out for?
Well, it was right after the Kennedy assassinations conducted by our government. Oh, that's an outrageous claim, Ted, except for all the evidence supporting that statement, and the Martin Luther King assassination. So they wanted to limit access to firearms to stop assassinations, which is a virtual impossibility. Because if a bad guy wants a gun in Paris, he can get a machine gun in Paris, even though you're not allowed to have a machine gun in Paris. And the proof is irrefutable. So the Gun Control Act of 1968 had a bunch of regulations, infringements about interstate travel and interstate commerce in firearms, which had nothing to do with any assassinations or gun crime. I'm telling you, all gun control regulations are illegal. I have a right to keep and bear arms from God. The founding fathers wrote it down in case anybody wanted to play king or tyrant or emperor. Lyndon Baines Johnson, Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton. So everybody joined Gun Owners of America and the new improved National Rifle Association. If you're not a member of Gun Owners of America and HunterNation.org or I belong to all of them, because my right to self-defense is literally life and death decision. So the Gun Control Act of 68 and the National Firearms Act of 86, President Trump, you're a great man. Get rid of these infringements.
And I think he's going to, right?
I hope so. We're pushing because he wasn't a gun guy, but Don Jr. and Eric are gun guys, and I'm a gun guy, and Kid Rock is a gun guy, and everybody, Pete Hegseth is a gun guy. So President Trump is finally surrounded by real Second Amendment absolutists, and I absolutely have the right to carry a gun. That's a God-given right. It's a self-evident truth. So President Trump, you have a lot of work ahead of you, but that's one of the primary ones. Let's get rid of the infringements against our right to self-defense.
So how would you recommend that Americans fight back legally and stay on top of this? What do they watch for? What can they do in their communities? What would you recommend? Well,
there's so many jurisdictions, there's entire states where there are infringements against the right to keep and bear arms. the number one thing is to raise hell with your elected employees and let them know that we have the right to keep and bear arms. That means carry a gun and have it loaded without infringements. But also, it's so important you become a member of HunterNation.org. We're going to put it on the screen, post-production, the whole segment, and Gun Owners of America, GOA.org, and the new National Rifle Association and your state firearms association. These are the ways that we can have a united voice to push back against these infringements. Remember, everybody that's going to get raped, carjacked, knifed, and murdered and shoved in front of a train today, they all have one thing in common. They made the insane, suicidal, bad choice to be unarmed and helpless. Unarmed and helpless is unarmed and helpless. How stupid can you be to be unarmed and helpless in this engineered recidivism where violent crime runs amok in spite of the infringements on our Second Amendment?